Let's get started!
What's wrong?
Clever, comrade.
Deadline, I got a little problem here.
What is it?
I want to make a clickbait title and thumbnail for this video, but I don't know how to make one. We are supposed to be the stupidest and the most nonsensical MHA joke channel in YouTube, yet our video titles and thumbnails don't even contain any clickbait at all. It just doesn't feel right.
Huh?
I need help making a clickbait thumbnail.
Oh, leave it to me.
Okay, I'm gonna start the rant now. Make sure you're done by the time I'm done. Okay, here we go. MHA chapter 384. It's a typical Gunga Mountain chapter, but this time with 50% more reporters and cameos. Now do take note that this video will not be a full recap. We are just gonna be ranting about things that don't make sense. But before we start, let me say some stuff first. So about the previous chapter, I just kinda realized something. What's even the point of a whole PLF army being there, if their only goal is to just press a button? Why waste all this manpower when the entire quest can be literally done with just a small drone flying overhead and activating the big boy wake up call? Hell, the device could just be tied to a balloon and have it floated over here before activating, and it would pretty much accomplish the exact same thing. Plus it's a whole lot cheaper than the drone method. Balloon jokes aside, there's literally no reason for a PLF army to even be here. Also about this big boy scene. Is it just me, or Big Boy in this panel looks like he's about to take a huge bite out of some giant tits? I mean, he could literally be drawn breaking out in any direction. But instead he's drawn in this way. Well, to be fair, he hasn't eaten anything in months, so this panel kinda makes sense. Okay, that's enough stupid sh**. Let's get on with the rant. So here we have chapter 384. It's another one of those super repetitive Gunga Mountain chapters. And just like chapter 382, it also has two segments. The big boy part, and the NPC reporters part. Allow me to go rant some stuff on the big boy part first. So about this segment of the chapter. The main big event here is Big Boy joining the big fight alongside the good guys. In fact, he's actually the highlight character here in chapter 384. The one who starred in this week's episode of Dunk the Demon Lord while he does nothing about it.
Wow! Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Anyways, slap jokes aside, the first thing I noticed about this particular segment is how rushed it is. Literally within seconds of arriving at the Gunga Mountain battlefield, Big Boy is immediately freed from mind control, and suddenly out of nowhere he has feelings now. And apparently he's mad at being abandoned, and now he's fighting with the heroes. All this happened in basically just a couple of panels. Meanwhile, the hero scenes here are also rushed. There are no more comments about the supposed effectiveness of the gamble of bringing Big Boy there, considering how easily he's freed from brainwash. And how much the power of plot just saved them from such a stupid decision. In fact, there are no more talking about whether they can trust Big Boy or if he's just faking it. All of them just immediately proceeded to beating the crap out of Mr. Demon Lord instead. And speaking of Mr. Demon Lord, why in the ever-loving f*** is he only sending out black tendrils towards the ground when his hardest hitting opponents are all high up? Why the f*** won't he use that one big blast attack he used earlier? Why the f*** is he still a useless colossal joke? I swear these deadline punching bag segments are really starting to drag its feet. Basically every Gunga Mountain chapter is the same these days, and it's getting extremely boring and stale. Anyways, this is basically all I can rant about this segment. But before I go onwards the next rant topic, I'm going to make a teeny tiny little prediction first.
Somebody's going to die tonight.
I'm calling it now. Big Boy is going to die. Notice how strangely built his entire scene is. It's almost as if it's trying to make the whole mind control thing completely irrelevant in the big picture. This is probably so that Big Boy can now be killed without his death being indirectly caused by Mr. Brainwash Guy and the heroes as a whole for bringing him in as an extra weapon. The creator might be already fed up with fans asking why can't Deadline kill anyone, so now he's brought in on hero character and readying him up to be killed off. Why not an actual hero character, you ask? Because MHA, that's why. Okay, now let's move on to the part 2 of the rant. The NPC reporters. Now a whole lot of people rolled their eyes on this part of the chapter. After all, why the hell should we even bother with these reporter NPCs? When not only they don't even have any names, but they are also just repeating the exact same talking points of the UA YouTubers from before. Now while I also rolled my eyes on this segment too, it got me wondering. Why does the creator keep using these nameless NPCs and giving them an awfully huge amount of spotlight in the finale? The most likely reason for this is because 99% of the named good guy characters are just heroes, meaning there aren't really any named characters available to fill in when it comes to non-hero related stuff, like reporting and journalism. As a result, we get these nameless NPCs instead. Anyways, nameless props aside, perhaps the biggest bullshit in this reporter segment has to be this heroic journalism crap. So over here what the manga is clearly intending is to show how heroic Japan is and how they're fighting back against all odds despite being abandoned by the rest of the world. This is laughable on so many levels because the villains are extremely weak and barely challenging, making the message completely fall flat. There's literally nothing to brag about. Deadline is a colossal joke. Death Note is an ultra failure. The MLA/PLF army is absolutely pathetic. The bird brains are completely useless. These two pretty much only reached this far because of their plot armor. And don't get me started on literally the biggest f***ing worthless piece of shit dumbass loser in the history of anime, who's so much of a f***ing useless villain obsessed brain dead garbage idiot that he can't do anything the moment his hands get lifted off the ground, even though he's loaded with tons of quirks. And on top of all that, any small advantage the villains get only lasts a few seconds. On the other hand, the heroes are clearly demolishing the villains at almost every angle. Not to mention at the end of the day, they're the ones with rewind. So yeah. There's nothing really heroic and inspiring at curb stomping loser villains, making the entire supposedly heroic and inspiring broadcast absolutely silly. Either way, this is just another one of MHA's telling and not showing issues. The entire final battle is clearly meant to be a high stakes tough fight, yet most of the heroes are just casually winning left, right and center. Overall, nothing much really happened here in chapter 384. 60% of it is just about nameless NPCs no one cares about, and the other remaining half is just Big Boy, who's also a character no one really cares about. And even then half of the Big Boy fight is literally just quotes and quotes and quotes about brainwash this and brainwash that and brainwash resists. So yeah, 384 is pretty much just a filler chapter, with quite a lot of padding. In fact, it's got so much padding Evange could literally print this chapter out and stuff it in her bra, so she could now be as busty as the other female characters. Deadline, what's this?
A clickbait thumbnail.
But what's it got to do with chapter 384?
Nothing. I just made a clickbait thumbnail. Like you asked.
Deadline, I was talking about a clickbait thumbnail for chapter 384. This is just a regular clickbait thumbnail. I can't use this.
That's okay. I'll just make something myself and use this as my thumbnail.
Okay, good luck with that. I'll just go make a normal thumbnail then.